talk, music, get it all
24 hours
on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and Accra, 1 o'clock in Abuja and Niamey. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Top of the stories. 10 Azawad fighters surrender in Mali's Kidal region, promising to join army in strengthening security.
Today is a reality, so it's very, very important for our children to understand that war won't solve the problem. It's understanding and accepting one another.
Ghana deport 3 Israelis in retaliation for Israel's earlier action, and Reporters Without Borders report a surge in journalist assassinations cite West Africa among key regions.
We also have the case of journalists who have been killed and but also who went missing as of today in Mali, in the Sahel.
And ECOWAS to reduce air travel caused by January 2026. Details of these stories and more coming up shortly.
Christopher Aticho with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners within and beyond the sub-region. We begin Newslink in the Central Sahel region, specifically in Mali, where 10 fighters from the Azawad Liberation Front have officially laid down their arms in the Kidal region located in the northern part of the country. The decision is part of a framework known as the Disarmament, Demobilization, Reintegration and Integration DDRI process. This mechanism has been established by the transitional authorities to help alleviate security tensions within the country. Abdullah Hassan has the details in this report.
The ex-combatant laid down their arms in Kidal following discussions led by regional authorities focused on the national reconciliation process. These surrendered fighters, part of the Azawad independence movement in the northern region of the country, will now be integrated into the Malian army. General El Haj Gamu, the governor of Kidal, describes this decision as an important step toward restoring peace and stability in the region.
Today is a reality. They are here. They are here with all their belongings. So it's very, very important for the history of our country and for our children to understand that war won't solve the problem. It's understanding, cohesion, and accepting one another. And I also appeal to all those who have stayed behind to return home. We are here to welcome them as brothers, as Malians, to our country, our beautiful region of Kidal.
This initiative is part of the disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, and integration process, commonly known as the DDRI process. According to the transitional authorities, these rallies are already underway and will continue in the coming weeks. In addition to Kidal, the regions of Ségou, Mopti, Timbuktu, and Menaka are also participating in the DDRI process. At the moment, the Azawad Liberation Front has not provided a comment regarding this initiative.
A report from our Bamako correspondent Aliou Chiam and voiced by Abdullah Hassan. In Niger, citizens and civil society organizations are raising alarm about the declining state of human rights in the country. These concerns were highlighted on Wednesday during the commemoration of the 77th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Authorities, including civil society representatives and citizens, gathered under the theme Social Cohesion, a Factor in the Realization of Human Rights. During the event, the Nigerian Network of Human Rights Defenders urged the transitional authorities to embrace their efforts, to enhance their efforts in promoting human rights throughout the country. Imo Edit completes the story.
According to Nigerian authorities, this year's theme emphasizes a commitment to using social cohesion as a means to guarantee human rights. Aliou Dauda is Niger's Minister of Justice.
However, it is clear that our unity is currently threatened by certain unworthy and irresponsible behaviors. Indeed, some of our brothers and sisters, manipulated by shadowy forces, whether internal or external, or by international powers, seek to divide our people, sow discord, and weaken our sovereignty.
However, Kani Abdullahi, the coordinator of Niger's network of human rights defenders, urges the authorities to ensure respect for human rights throughout the country.
Today, we know that from the perspective of economic, social and cultural rights, the government of Niger has much to do. From a security perspective, we know that under the orders of these faithless men who attack our peaceful citizens, Niger is doing a lot, but the government still has much to do.
This year's commemoration of Universal Human Rights Day highlights both the progress made and the ongoing challenges. Public and private actors are called upon to strengthen their efforts in promoting and upholding fundamental rights.
In more edit with the details of a report filed in by WADR's Niamey correspondent Mutala Zuberu. Meanwhile, a new report by media watchdog Reporters Without Borders (RSF) warns of increased in journalist assassination and heightened suppression worldwide, with West Africa among the region of concern. This report highlights that in 2025 alone, 67 journalists lost their lives in the course of or in direct connection with their work. It also reveals increasing cases of arbitrary arrest, intimidation, violent attacks, and prolonged detention of media workers, particularly in countries experiencing political instability, coups, and tightening military rules. RSF says journalists covering corruption, security, and governance issues remain the most targeted, while governments are increasingly using legal pressure, internet restriction, and security agencies to silence dissenting voices. Sadibu Maron is director of Reporters Without Borders West Africa, and he joins us in the second half of the news during the guest interview. Let's cross over to Liberia, where mixed reactions are emerging following the House of Representatives' decision to add 14 seats to its membership. The vote took place during the plenary session on Tuesday, December 9, 2025, and aims to reapportion various constituencies across the country in preparation for the 2029 general and presidential election. This decision is based on a report submitted by the House Joint Committee on Election and Inauguration, Judicial and Good Governance and Government Reform, which outlines a framework for the reallotment. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
This session became quite noisy when the bill was introduced on the floor, with many lawmakers expressing their dissatisfaction. Representative Foley family supported the report, recommending that the Speaker fund a specialized committee to collaborate with the National Elections Commission and the Liberia Institute of Statistics and Geoinformation Services. This committee would ensure proper guidance and implementation for the reapportionment process. If the Liberian Senate approves the bill and President Bouaka signs it into law, Liberia's electoral districts will increase from 73 to 87. However, the decision has faced significant criticism. Former Speaker Fonati Kofa opposes the move, urging that it violates the Liberian Constitution. Mosorado County Senator Darius Delon references Articles 80C and 80D of the 1986 Constitution, which regulate the allocation of representative seats.
We have 5.4 million people. If we have everything in place, are we ready for additional seats? it as a country and people. I don't agree.
Meanwhile, Arvin Wise, a former assistant minister for agriculture, criticizes lawmakers who support the bill, while many other citizens are urging the president to veto the document if it is passed by the Senate.
We cannot continue to concur surreptitiously with bogus decisions. In my opinion, if the legislature is more serious, the legislature should be passing legislations that will say will produce 14,000 jobs or create 14,000 jobs for young people.
At this moment, civil society organizations are voicing concerns regarding Liberia's readiness to implement such a change, especially given the challenging living conditions for many citizens. These concerns underscore the socio-economic context surrounding this political decision. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
The Gambia is rising costs. In the Gambia, the rising cost of running for public office is excluding women, young people, and persons with disabilities, while strengthening the hold of political elites. This situation was reviewed in the latest report released by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy. The study, titled Cost of Politics in the Gambia, a gender-inclusive assessment, points to a significant increase in the nomination fees of parliamentary candidates, which have been set at $150,000 Gambian dollars under the elections bill passed in September 2025, compared to the just $5,000 previously. The launch of the report brought together politicians and civil society representatives to discuss the findings and its implications. WADR's Banjul correspondent Sandona Mendy reports.
Released ahead of the 2026 presidential election, the report raises concern that financial pressures and deeply rooted social norms are disproportionately hindering women's access to public office. It also highlights the lack of transparency in campaign financing, warning that reliance on private funding could lead to state capture. Tabunjai Sar is country director for the Westminster Foundation for Democracy.
We cannot achieve genuine democracy without gender justice, and that gender justice must extend to everyone living in the society and the country at large, including women, and are surrounded with the many barriers that impede their advancement. So on behalf of WFD, I hope that the study will go a long way in addressing the financial cost of politics and open doors for the many aspiring women candidates. The road to equality is long, but today, let us take an other bold step together.
Survey findings reveal significant disparities in campaign spending. While most candidates spend less than $1.1 million, approximately $15,000 have reported expenditures exceeding $3.3 million, equivalent to around $44,000, with social contributions representing the largest portion of their cost. Despite women making up 57% of registered voters, they hold only 5 out of 58 seats in the Gambia National Assembly. The study indicates that 64% of female respondents believe their gender increases the cost of campaigning, whereas only 24% of male respondents share this perception. According to the authors of the report, comprehensive constitutional and electoral reforms are necessary to eliminate financial and structural barriers, ensuring that the country's political landscape reflects its population. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sangdona Mende, reporting from Banjul.
In Ghana, the government has deported a group of Israelis in the reciprocal action following what it says was the ill treatment and subsequent deportation of 3 Ghanaian travelers from Israel. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the action was taken after Israeli officials allegedly subjected the Ghanaian travelers to unjustified treatment upon their arrival at the Ben Gurion International Airport. Both countries have since committed to resolving the matter amicably following a meeting between their representatives. WADR's Accra correspondent Nadi Detete reports.
The retaliatory move follows a widely reported incident on Sunday, December 7, 2025. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 7 Ghanaians, including 4 members of a parliamentary delegation, were detained without justifiable cause and released only after hours of diplomatic intervention, while 3 others were deported. The parliamentary delegation was attending an international cybersecurity conference in Tel Aviv, while the 3 deported travelers returned to Ghana on the next available flight. An earlier statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Wednesday described the actions of Israeli authorities as inhumane and traumatic, alleging that Ghanaian travelers had been deliberately targeted. A second statement, released later in the day to announce Ghana's reciprocal action, said the chargé d'affaires ad interim at the Embassy of Israel was summoned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the absence of Israel's ambassador to Ghana, as both governments agreed to pursue an amicable resolution. International relations expert Dr. Ishmael Lovell believes dialogue is the way to go.
Yes, we are within our sovereign right to retaliate. We have the ability to retaliate in ways that the Israelis may consider also unacceptable to them. But that will not essentially provide a solution. The solution lies in engagement. The solution lies in bringing the Israelis to the table and ironing out whatever differences they may have. If it's about the embassy, maybe we'll look at it thoroughly and see how best they can assist the Israelis in terms of cooperation to manage Ghanaians who are there better.
The government says it deeply values its relations with all friendly countries and expects its citizens to be treated with dignity and respect in much the same way other governments expect Ghana to treat their nationals. For WDR, Nadiri Tete, Accra.
You're still listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. We're also live on Facebook at WADR English Service, as well as YouTube at WADR News. Here's a reminder of our top stories. 10 Azawad fighters surrender in Mali's Kidal region, promising to join army in strengthening security. Reporters Without Borders report a surge in journalist assassination cite West Africa among key region of concern, and Ghana deport 3 Israelis in retaliation for Israel's earlier action. Still ahead in the news, ECOWAS to reduce air travel costs by January 2026. We do have the press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's focus now on the aviation sector, as ECOWAS member states have been directed to eliminate air transport taxes and reduce key charges beginning January 2026. This initiative is part of a new reforms approved by the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS, aimed at making air travel more affordable across the sub-region. The decision followed an ECOWAS summit held December 2024 in Abuja, where the heads of state and government adopted a supplementary act which requires all members to abolish air transport taxes and reduce passenger and security charges by 25% starting January 1, 2025. WADR's Abuja correspondent Usma Omar reports.
Officials say the decision responds to long-standing concerns that expensive airfares have slowed tourism, trade, and the free movement of people, key pillars of regional integration. The ECOWAS Commission will monitor the reform through a new regional air transport economic oversight mechanism, with expectations of cheaper tickets, higher passenger traffic, and stronger regional airlines. At the beginning of the Mediation and Security Council session in Abuja, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Aliyu Tore, linked the aviation reform to broader economic growth and urged improved border management.
I am happy to note that already the idea of promoting intra-regional investment is gaining traction in our member states. This year alone, we have seen a number of economic investment fora, such as the Forum Senegal Invest, West African Economic Summit in Nigeria, and the Invest in District Savannah Forum in Côte d'Ivoire.
However, the Council also raised concerns about the political climate. The chair of the Council of Ministers, Musa Timothy Kabba, warned that the resurfacing of undemocratic takeovers threatens regional stability and economic progress. He called for stronger cooperation among member states to stem the tide of unconstitutional changes of government.
We must address non-tariff barriers. modernize and operationalize border posts, and improve the joint border management process. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the return of unconstitutional change of government continues to represent one of our most grave challenges.
As the meeting continues in Abuja, ECOWAS says the aviation reform is part of its wider effort to strengthen stability, integration and movement within the sub-region. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Many thanks, Usman Umar, with that report.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
For the press review, let's join Nadi Ditete from Accra.
Greetings, welcome to the newspaper review segment. We'll start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper front page. Calls to scrap OSP premature. President Mahama declares and demands speeding up of prosecutions. Also here, dangerous metals found in food and cosmetics. And EC sets December 30 for Kwandai parliamentary election rerun. And President Mahama assents to COVID-19 repeal law. The Daily Guide newspaper front page, Mahama abolishes COVID-19 levy. Also here, EC sets December 30 for Kwandai election rerun, and government withdraws Barari DV lithium agreement for further consultations. Skytrain court orders witness to produce 16 emails, and Okada bill laid in Parliament. The Chronicle newspaper, GM's government swallows a bitter pill, withdraws controversial lithium mining lease agreement from Parliament after approbating and reprobating for months. Also here, OSP scares politicians. There's a question being asked. 2 NDC MPs initiate a move to scrap it. The Daily Analyst, Mahama abolishes 1% COVID health recovery levy. And also here, let's give the OSP time. Mahama warns against hasty scrapping. Ghana's economy records 5.5% growth in Q3 2025. Lithium mining agreement withdrawn as government seeks wider consensus. The Vanguard, OSP heading for another upset in NPA case, is a question being asked. The final paper I have here is the Daily Democrat. Front page, Tema Oil Refinery is back on track after years of NPP mismanagement. Also here, NIMOS cracks down on River Subri polluters. That should be it for the newspaper review segment. Is back to you in the studio.
Many thanks, Nadi Ditete, for the press review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
In our guest interview this afternoon, we are joined by Sadibou Marwan, Director of Reporters Without Borders, RSF, West Africa, for more analysis on the shrinking space of press freedom and journalists losing their life in their line of duty. In RSF's 2025 report, 67 journalists lost their lives in course of or in direct connection with their work. The report indicates that journalists covering corruption, security and governance issues remain the most targeted, while governments are using legal pressure, internet restriction and security agencies to silence dissenting voices. Sadibou Marwan speaks with WADR.
It is from our perspective, we are still believing again this year that journalists do not die, they are killed. And also the number of murdered journalists has risen again due to the criminal practice of military groups, both that are regular and paramilitary also, and also the organized crime. The situation is quite problematic and dramatic, and we have recorded that the hatred of journalists, it leads to death of 67 this year.
Well, let's narrow it down to our sub-region. What specific trends are we currently seeing in the sub-region, and how do they compare with broader description which you have given us?
I mean, if we come to the sub-region in West, or first of all in Sub-Saharan Africa, we have seen, for example, a country like Burundi, where we are still having the only female journalist still in jail, Sandra Muhoza. We have in West Africa, for example, those journalists who has been conscripted by force into the army. 7 of them now, they have recovered their freedom. They have been detained for a long time and no one did know their whereabouts by the junta in Burkina Faso, for example. And we also have the case of journalists killed and but also who went missing as of today in Mali, in the Sahel. We also finally have the situation of Serge Oulon in Burkina Faso. He is still missing. And finally, we have the case of Guinea also, the case of Habib Marwan Kamara. No one knows where he is, despite all the efforts in terms of advocacy which has been done.
Now, how has political unrest in places like Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, or even Niger within the year influenced the safety and work environment of journalists?
This is the first dimension. Anytime like there is elections, most of the time, journalists, they are caught inside, everything, and even seen. I mean, there is a correlation between political unrest and political activities and the journalists' attack and journalists' instability as far as their work is concerned. In another hand, we have seen in other countries like in the Sahelian, how it is more perceptible because there are no election there. This is very low and it carries a lot of disinformations. Now, what we are seeing is how junta, they are themselves having their own media.
Let's talk about regional protection mechanisms as we round up this conversation. We know that ECOWAS and the African Union do have a framework on human rights and press freedom. Of course, yet violations still persist. What practical steps should institutions like this take to better protect journalists and prevent the region's slide into deeper repression?
First of all, according to constitutions in all our countries, freedom of the press lies under freedom of expression in our constitutions. And if you have a look at all the constitution, you will see that the states must and should guarantee the freedom of expressions. Those who are the very one people who needed to protect freedom of expression and freedom of the press are those who are jeopardizing that.
Sadibou Marwan is the director of Reporters Without Borders West Africa. And in the world of sports, fans heading to the 2026 FIFA World Cup have been advised to pay attention to stadium safety guidelines as preparation intensifies for the global showpiece. Chief Safety and Security Officer for the tournament, GB Jones, said several commonly used funds items will not be allowed inside the venues across the USA, Mexico, and Canada. Speaking at a forum hosted by the Africa Center of the Atlantic Council, Jones explained that the objective is to protect supporters while preserving the excitement that comes with the World Cup. The 2026 FIFA World Cup runs from June 11 to July 19 across 16 host cities in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. Also, the Confederation of African Football CAF Under-17 Girls Integrated Tournament football tournament can serve as a platform for joint CAF UEFA initiative to educate young players on vaccine health during activities held on Wednesday in Harare, Zimbabwe. Beyond competition, the CAF Under-17 Gifts Zimbabwe 2025 program focuses on developing girls both in and off the field, offering training sessions, safeguarding workshops, and grassroots activities and health center education. CAF says the tournament adopts a holistic approach aimed at equipping young girls and with life skills that support their personal development. And that ends it for sports this afternoon. And with that, we've come to the end of this afternoon's edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Mustafa Sek for the technical assistance. Do interact with us on all of our social media platforms: X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR English, and on Facebook at WADR English Service. Coming up shortly is our environment program, Enviroscope with Abdullahi Hassan. I am Christopher Ticho. Good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our broadcast.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio